Let's start using some of the different JavaScript things we can do, and the first thing we're going to be looking into is something called variables. Now, you've already been trying to use variables through SES, through parts of the Ionic framework that we've been using, but we're going to create some from scratch so you can see how they work in plain JavaScript. First thing we're going to do is go to our empty JavaScript file here, and we're just going to type var, just short for variable, and just if anything show me is going to be the name. I'm going to zoom a little bit here so we can easily see. So show me is going to be the name of the variable where we store information. So just like you would in Ionic SAS maps and things like this. And we're just, for starters, going to store a number. So this will be 30. That's cool. We have a variable, but we also need to show it. In the first part here, we're going to use something called the console log. And this is, if we go to our Google here, once you open your, I'm just going to close this down. So once you do use your inspect here, and you go up here, so usually we see this, but there's one called console up here. You need to click this for some of the examples that I'm going to be using. We're going to print out things in this one through our JavaScript. And by using this tag here, console.log, we can print things into this. So in our case, we want to print out the number 30. So let's just try 30 to see what actually happens. So once I refresh, it should say 30 up here. But if I change this to 25, funnily enough, it says 25. But I kind of just want to print out the variable here. So instead of typing in a specific number or a static number, I'm going to change this value here to the name of my variable. So type in show me or whatever you named your variable up here. Go back to this and hit refresh, and now it should say 30. And if I change the variable's value up here, not to 30 again, that's weird, to 20, it also changes the value up here back to 20. So here we're just creating a variable which contains a number. Some of the other things we have, I'm going to create I'm just going to change this one to number. And I'm going to create something called a string. And you can see it's grayed out now. This is because it's not being used anymore. So WebStorm will gray it out for you. So this is a string. And remember that one. So I kind of wanted to show the value of the string right now. And remember that to create a string, you would do the apostrophes, double apostrophes here. And that will print this one out here. I could also do this. Whoops, not that. But if I can hit it here. So if I use still these two and write in a value or a number, you can see it's green instead of blue. It's converted into a string. This means it's harder to calculate or put them together if you were creating a calculator or changing like the amount of a product in a web shop or something like this. If you're using a string, that could be somewhat harder than using a plain number. But anyways, let's go back to this as a string. And one more I want to show you, Boolean. So this is sort of like a true or false statement. So we can type in here that the Boolean is true. So let's just try that. Change Boolean. Ugh, I can spell Boolean. And let's do this. So it says true. And I can change this to false, which means it's false. So if I'm writing something out that's not true, like I want 19 to be equals to 20, which it isn't, then it's false and so on. We'll show more. But if I also just do this, it says undefined. So we need to declare what we need to do with our variable. So if we have a specific variable, we need to declare what the content is going to be for this specific one. So there are different kinds, but these are going to be the three main ones we're going to be using. So number, string, I'm just going to type true in back here. Number, string, and Boolean is something we're going to be looking in quite often. And we're going to be using, for starters, this console log to just print out the value or information in this one over here. And then we can start adding things together and so on. So that's a little bit about the variables and data types that we can store in these.